Welcome to the Introduction to Programming series. My name is James, and today I'm going to be recording a video of accomplishing a challenge with what we've learned in the input and output lecture. So if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch the input and output lecture video first. This is meant to be using the knowledge we gained from that lecture to actually solve an example challenge we may see. So let's put some of this stuff to the test. All right. So I've got my code editor open, my introduction to programming folder. I've got my code along challenge that I've, sort of made for myself. And let's see what it wants. In this challenge, you'll create a tool that gets information from a user and displays it back to them. This is called the information taker. Prerequisite is it wants me to have a Hello World project that can build and run. And then it's got requirements around what this program looks like. So before getting too far into it, I know what the name is, I know generally what I want, and I know that I need a Hello World project to build and run first. So let's start that. Information taker. So I'm probably going to use, where do I want to put this? I think what I'm going to do is in my input output folder, maybe I'll click this guy and then I'll make a new one and I'll call it info taker, just so to save myself some effort. And I'm basically going to do is I'm going to make this challenge inside the material, my notes I have already. And if you don't, you can make it wherever you want. But for me, it's going to help me keep this organized. So I've got info taker instead of input output. I'm going to go ahead and as I do, open my introduction to programming input output info taker. So now I can just see my info taker. And now's a good time again. If I forgot what Hello Worlds look like, I can go to File, Open File, and I can go back to something like my input output program to have this input output version around and handy. But I am going to need my own main.go. So I'm going to go ahead and create my own main.go. And I got this input output guy. Let's make some room so I can actually put this stuff here. So mine is empty and I can tell this one's mine because it's just a little dot. And this one's the input output one. I'm actually going to drag this input output to the right for now so I can see what I need. But this one's mine. And then I'm going to click Explorer to minimize this guy on the left. Okay, so what do I need again? I need a package main. I need my import FMT. And again, I'm not pressing save yet. I'm holding off. I'm going to keep typing in func main FMT print line. And this was the information taker. So now I'm going to save. And I got what I needed from this. I could leave this open. I could shrink it if I want to not look at it for now. I think I'm going to go ahead and close it, and I'll just use my notes from a different from my memory. But yeah, looking back at Information Taker, I have a Hello World project. Ooh, that can build and run. Okay, let's do that. File. Nope, I want terminal. New terminal. Go run main.go. Information Taker. Okay, it can build and run. Okay, it's running and building. If it runs, it can be built because it has to be built in order to run. And if I do go run, it tests both things. So we're good there. Okay. Your program must start by greeting the user. Okay. This one says, welcome to JK's computer shop. JK is busy right now. Give me information. I'll have him call you back ASAP. Okay. So we need we need some sort of theme. Well, I guess for the theme we had earlier, which was tacos, I guess I can keep going on that. And I know I worked for a different, maybe. Yeah, let's maybe go back to our basic Akatako. So I'm gonna say welcome to Akatako. Welcome to Akatako. Maybe I'll say something like we are a little busy right now. Maybe I'll say stuff like give us your information and we'll call you back. All right. I do have a tendency of typing quite quickly. As I go through coding for so many years, I've picked up a lot of the little tricks to go faster. If you ever find yourself falling behind, that's okay. Just pause the video, type along, and we'll catch you up from there. But just to remind you, or just to give you an insight into what we're doing, how I'm making this so fast, I can actually highlight a whole line, copy it, and paste it, and that's sort of what I'm doing, because then I'm just changing out what's inside the lines. but I'm just copy pasting lines to type this faster. And again, feel free to pause uh, in order to follow along. So give us your information and we'll call you back. Cool. All right. Does it run before I move on? Okay, it still runs. Okay. If there's an issue, like if I forgot a parenthesis, I might try to go run it. Oh, and my computer's dying. It really does not like me not having that parenthesis, I think. Yep. Go run main.go. It really doesn't like unexpected. Okay, here's something cool. It does say main.go, which is my file. It says line 8, which is line 8. And it says 66. 66, I believe, is the character that has an issue or where it thinks the error is at. I don't usually give it a lot of credit for knowing that number, but usually the line number is close. Unexpected new line, probably missing a comma or a parenthesis. This is nice. This is a nice error message. It says main.go line 8, probably missing a comma, a parenthesis. In fact, I am. What if I forgot quotes? What would it look like? Possibly missing a comma or a parenthesis. So it's wrong. It does say main.go line 7, but it's not sure what's going on here. And so I just have to remember myself that if I'm putting something in a print and I want it to actually be said, like the actual literal words, I've got to put those in double quotes. Okay. Your program will then ask the user for a string, int, bool, and float in any order. Okay. So a string, an int, a bool, a float, which I know in Go we use float 64. So start with a string. If we're getting an order, and I'm going to kind of steal from the theme that's here, I'm going to ask them what their name is. I could do anything I want, but this is just one that I chose because I've been already thinking about tacos, and I probably need to put in order soon. Um, what is your name? And I noticed this person saying it here, no dashes or spaces. It's probably important to mention now that what I'm going to do is get user input, and I'm going to use a scan. And for now, we don't allow spaces when users talk to us. When they try to talk to us, we just take one word at a time. They can put dashes or underscores, that's fine. Actually, they can do underscores or commas or things that don't have spaces. And that's for the name. But we got to do one word is all we can ask. So what is your name? Say one word only. No spaces. So let's try it. What do I need for getting input? I need a variable. Let's see if I've got my notes open. Let's put those over here. I need a variable. I'm going to fly up through here. And I remember that I want into your name, so I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to say customer name. And I want their name, which is a string. Because a string is, again, a word, a sentence, or a letter. You'll notice that some people will do the variable and then the print and the scan. As long as both come before the scan, it's fine. It doesn't matter which order you do it in. I'm just going to do my print, my variable, and then my scan, FMT scan. And scanf, we're using. And scanf needs these quotes, %s, \n. And then I've got to put this ampersand, which is tricky. And this should ask them for their name and continue on. So it paused, it waited until I typed Roger, I pressed enter, and it moved on. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Um, I'm a little tricky about this. I usually have trust issues when it comes to programming because computers, even though they do everything we tell them to do, are a little tricky sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what they did. So what I'll usually do here is I'll say after I've got a scan, I'll say you, what's going on here? You said your name was, and then I'll say customer name here. And remember with print lines, I can put as many of these as I want together. I just have to have a comma to separate out the different types. So this is a literal string value. This is a variable. They're different things, right? There's like a value, a variable, so I gotta have them separated with a comma. So let's see what that does, what it does differently. You said your name was James. Okay, so it is reading. It does have my input. We are good there. Awesome. Okay. Um, the next thing it wants from our assignment is what? An int, a bool, and a float in any order. Say they do a number. I'll probably do something like how many tacos do you want? Yeah, that makes sense, right? Um, and then from here, same idea. I need a variable. I need a scan, FMT scanf. Now remember, the percent %s matches the string that we have, but this is an integer. So I need something different. I need a percent %d. So I got num tacos, and just like I once did there, I never forget my ampersand. And lastly, again, I don't trust code, so let's do FMT current line here to repeat back to them. You want num tacos, tacos. Make it a sentence. Make it a statement. Make it. We're confident, right? We're taking the order. We're reading it back. Let's see what we want. So they say that their name is James and they want 10 tacos. Said your name was James. You want 10 tacos. Okay. Now that I know these work, I'm going to turn off these guys. You said your name was, because I'm not going to change this code anymore. So I'm going to, but I don't want to keep seeing this. So I'm going to I'm going to disable this line of code by just putting two forward slashes in front of it for now. This is just for me. You guys can leave it open, leave them enabled, but it's getting a little crowded here. And I'm going to add two blank lines between these, just again to visually separate out the code so I can focus. And what I'm starting to see here is sort of a trend of, or a pattern of print the question, make my variable, scan the input. So I'm gonna do something just like that again. And in fact, I'm so lazy right now, I'm gonna copy and paste it and then fix it for what I want. This is a bool. So I'll say, do you want spicy salsa? Right? That's like a yes or no kind of question. The problem is with bools, they have to enter the words true or false, like exactly. So I gotta say true or false. All right, then I'll say wants spicy salsa. And this one is a bool. And importantly, even how I name my variables is depends on what I'm getting. So if it's the customer's name, right, it's obvious that that would be a string. If it's a number of tacos, it's obvious that would be an integer. If it's want spicy salsa, that's either true or false. Do they want spicy salsa or do they not want spicy salsa, right? And so even my variable names sort of change based on what's they're storing. And then the last piece I need here is the scans for, again, percent %s is for our strings, percent %d is for our int. So what is it for the bool? If I flip back to my slides or I use that nice website, bools we're using percent %t. And percent %t is the true or false that they have to type true or false. But I do want to confirm what they want. You want spicy salsa. And I'll do it like this. We'll see what that looks like. All right. Welcome to Akatako. We're a little busy right now. Give us information. We'll call you back. What is your name? One word only. Ooh, it didn't run. Why did it skip? Oh, did I press enter twice? Interesting. Let's take a look. If I run this again without touching anything, what is your name? Okay, so I must have accidentally hit enter twice. Okay. Um, scientists, we got to confirm our suspicions here. My name is James. How many tacos do you want? I want 12 tacos. And it didn't let me type. Okay, so I see what happened here. I got lazy and I forgot that I'm on Windows, so I forgot to put my _n here. Some of you may have caught that early. But what happens if I don't put that _n is sometimes it will skip scans. So notice how I had one on the string, the name, and it read it, and it let me type the name. And then I did the num tacos. It let me type num tacos, but after that, it didn't see the new line, so it skips this guy. It did not let me enter anything. So to fix it, I've got to put my new lines at the end of these guys, my backslash n. And then I can say that my name is James and I want 8 tacos. And I do want spicy salsa. And just like that, I've got it. I'm almost there. I've got most of the stuff there. Um, and then we'll say, what do you want to say? I want to say like, thank you for your order. And then I'll say something like, how much do you want to leave for a tip? And then I'll say, so on a float 64 again, which is a number, but it's a number that can have a decimal point. So I want a, amount or tip amount, I should say. Tip amount, float 64. I've updated that here. And then the last thing is I need to update this percent %t, which for floats is percent %f. And there's some of these make sense, like percent %f for float and percent %s for string. And then the integers percent %d and the bools percent %t. Some of these don't make too much sense. You just kind of have to memorize them. As you use them more and more, it'll come and you'll just understand it. But sometimes what I help to learn integers is D is for like a decimal, which is a stands for like a number that's from 0 to 9, right? Base 10. So all the numbers we use are decimal numbers technically, because they are base 10 numbers. And then Boolean is true or false. So percent %t is true for Boolean. So that's kind of how I remember that. But otherwise, it's just use them a lot until you memorize them. I ask them for my tip amount. I scan the tip amount. You are tipping, and I print out the tip amount. Let's see how this looks. My name is James. I'm gonna scroll this up a little bit. I want 6 tacos. I want spicy salsa. Thank you for order. How much do you want to leave for a tip? I want to leave a $5 tip. 5.12 tip. Okay. So then let's wrap it up. I've asked the user for a string, repeat what the user gave you. Okay. Now it's actually kind of worked out because I already have these guys, these print lines. I'm just going to move those down. So I'm going to cut and paste, cut, which I can use Control X for, and paste, which I can use Control V for. And this is the cool thing about this program is it'll tell me what my computer's keys are, because sometimes the Control X or the Control C will change, Control V will change based on the computer you're on. But if I right click and do that, it'll work. So yeah, repeat what they gave to you. Technically, that's what this is. And in fact, this one has a little bit different. It says, here's what I heard. Your name is okay. And let's put it all together and see what happens. Your name is James. I want 10 tacos. I want spicy salsa. And I want to leave a $5.13 tip. It's pretty good. This is where I get a little picky to myself. I don't like a lot of things are pretty close, so I'm going to add little spacing, right? Because it just helps people read better. So, for example, I want spacing after give us your information and we'll call you back. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a print line by itself here. I want it after they tell me what they want. But they tell me what they want. They tell me what they want, and they tell me that. So every time they give me some sort of input, I'm gonna pick an empty line there. And let's see what that looks like. Welcome to Akatako. We're a little busy right now. Give us your information. We'll call you back. Okay, so right there, nice little space. My name is James. Look at that. It looks a little bit better. I want 8 tacos. I do not want them to be spicy. And I want a $2.13 tip. Yeah, it looks a little better. Lastly, I'm going to be a bit more picky. I'm going to switch this to a printf because I want a dollar sign in front of here because that looks cool. So I can do a dollar sign, but then I have to do a percent. Ooh, what is this? This is a float. Percent F. I put my new line here because my percent F, now I'm using a print F, and I can just modify this with my print F to make it a little prettier. So James, 7 tacos with spicy salsa and a 314 tip. Oh, that looks ugly. Um, I'll consider this bonus tip. I'm gonna change this to percent point 2F. I'm not really gonna ask you guys for this, but I can. The cool thing about printf is not only can I put these guys in these prints and stick like a dollar sign right next to it without having a space, I can also modify them a little bit. They're actually pretty powerful if you really dig into them. And boom, now I've got 314. Cool. Yeah, this is just showing that we can get output to a user, we can get input from a user of all of our 4 basic data types, and really start building interesting programs that take what the person says and repeat it back to them. Give it a shot. Put on any comments if you have any questions about this, and I'd love to answer them, and I'll respond to you right there. And again, as a reminder, I spin the wheel to get these themes that I'll use for these videos every day. Today's was tacos, so that's why I got a taco theme thing. Please, in the comment, leave me some theme ideas so I can place them in this spin the wheel, and we can do different things every time. And I will let you know in your comment when I've taught your theme. But otherwise, any suggestions, questions, or feedback in the comments are always great. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.